I think that goes a long way, giving people opportunities to grow. I do that a lot with my people, and probably because I've had experiences in the past with managers where they don't give you room to grow. So I find myself taking the opposite approach. Maybe how good can these people become?
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we sit down with executive leaders to explore what leadership really means through the lens of their stories, their wins, their struggles, their vision, and their lessons along the way. I'm Ty Hammond, founder of One Mountain Leadership and creator of the True Leadership Approach, an awareness-based path that helps leaders shift their focus from what to do about their problems to how to grow from them. Whether you're just stepping into leadership or are well-seasoned and at the top of your game, your potential won't be realized following someone else's script, but you can draw insights from their stories and turn it into wisdom by putting it into practice in your own life.
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we explore the essence of leadership beyond tactics and performance by sitting down with executives to hear what matters most to them. I'm your host, Justin Houchin, and today's guest is Andrew Tunnell. Andrew is a vice president of AI at CompuGroup Medical US, where he leads the integration of artificial intelligence across healthcare technology platforms. With a background spanning SaaS, fintech, and enterprise tech, Andrew brings both operator and builder experience to emerging AI initiatives. Previously a CEO and growth leader in high-velocity startups, he has driven partnerships, scaled channels, and built products at the intersection of data, software, and strategy. Known for translating complex AI capabilities into practical business impact, Andrew focuses on deploying intelligent systems that improve outcomes, efficiency, and innovation across healthcare and beyond. It's a pleasure for me to have Andrew on the podcast today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Justin.
You're very welcome. So, Andrew, who is someone from your early life or an early experience that shaped the kind of leader you are today?
Oh, yeah. So the first person that comes to mind is probably my dad. So I grew up with, in some context, my dad was starting a lot of different companies, tech companies, back in the day. This was in Melbourne, Florida. And I think the first time I started, like the beginning of my corporate career, my startup career I was 10 years old, and I started putting together cables for like a GPS system. And I was working late hours at 10 years old until like 10 p.m. at night, supporting my dad. And that, along with some other experiences, but that was certainly foundational in shaping me to have work ethic and put up with the pain, but also not see it as pain, but see it as just part of the process and start to enjoy it.
Oh, I love that. I did robotics too as a young kid, and there was these late nights we would put into that. And yeah, it was hard, and I was used to getting a full night's sleep and all that, but when you're that age and get to be a part of something like that, it can be pivotal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was invigorating. So I think that created a spark in me that had a life-changing impact, and I'm grateful for it. So
Love it. So what does true leadership mean to you, and what makes a true leader in your eyes?
So I think a true leader, he does whatever it takes, and he's doing that whatever it takes on behalf of his team, which usually means he's doing the shittiest jobs. It can mean that often, right? So I find that when it gets hard, I'm reminded, okay, you're the leader, you're doing this so that maybe your team doesn't have to, or to better the team. And I think at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. So ultimately, that means being humble, right? I don't know if you have seen that in your own career, but that's definitely my perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, humility is huge. We see what happens with leaders who don't have it, right? We make it about them and not about the team and not about the mission.
Right. And I've seen that again and again in my career, especially going back to my startup life. Like, there's plenty of founders that don't have the humility. They never learned it.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it has a very negative impact on the business and on the people around them, creates a bad culture. It affects, and you see it in financial performance as well. Financial performance dives quite sharply when you're not humble enough to accept that you don't know everything. You can't be in the best position all the time. So I mean, it's a very simple principle, but I find it goes a very long way.
100%. Yeah. And then can you share about a time when you learned, or let's say you realized your way of leading was no longer meeting the demands of your work and your life, and so some kind of growth or change was needed?
Time when my leadership wasn't meeting the demands. I think it happens quite often, which I measure as a sign of growth, right? Um, I do a lot of reflecting on my leadership, my management experiences, right? So I guess a certain time I can go back to when I was a founder of a fintech company as a trading app, and we were growing, and that was early in my career. I was a baby, for lack of a better term, and I was scaling a team. I had people that I was managing that were twice my age, and I constantly had to adapt to be able to lead from that perspective. So there were plenty of challenges there where, how do I deal with a certain personality that comes on the team, or who may have more experience from me? How do I handle that person? How do I motivate them? Even though I was younger, right? So yeah, give that as one example.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then thinking about your journey over the last few years, what's been, would you say, the most valuable investment you've made in yourself for your own growth?
Most valuable investment I've made in myself. I'd say the most valuable investment is putting myself in uncomfortable situations,
Mm.
where I'm totally out of my comfort zone, right? And I've done that a couple of times, whether it be um, keynote speaking, right, or different industries, right? Like throughout my career, I've gone into different industries each time. Each time, I'm totally out of my comfort zone, but now I've done it so much to where uh, it feels comfortable, because being uncomfortable feels comfortable, right? And I think that's a good place to get.
That's a really good place to get. I mean, that serves in every aspect of life, because
Yeah.
it is, even if you're in the same job and the same line of work for your whole career, the nature of life is unknowns and things you've
Right.
never encountered and never even could have imagined. So I think getting that uncomfortable with, or getting comfortable with the uncomfortable is
Right.
yeah,
Totally agree. And
extremely valuable.
I think part of it is like that I've had to learn over the years is stop looking for the knowns, like, and enjoy the unknowns, enjoy sailing through the abyss, because I mean 90% of the time that's what it is, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
if 90% of the time you're wishing for something that's not going to happen, maybe join the other side and be content with that.
absolutely. And I mean, for myself, stop making 10-step programs to not to do something I've never done before. Like, that's not
Yeah.
possible. Yeah, yeah. Love
Yeah.
it. Um, and then, so in your career right now, what's your vision for your leadership, your legacy, the impact you'd like to have in the years ahead?
Yeah, I think so. Impact I'd like to have. I'm an ambitious guy, so I'd like to lead uh, multi-billion-dollar companies someday. And I'd like to grow those companies to a lot more than that, right? So I like to have big impacts in the industries that I tackle, and hopefully disrupt them quite a bit. So those are some of the generalized, broader goals that I have, which to me don't seem that big, but that's probably because I think about them a lot.
That's a good sign. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you can feel it, you can see it. It makes it much more possible.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
I think they're definitely attainable.
awesome. Love it. And then where are you feeling? I'm curious where you're feeling tested right now, or what challenges are stretching you in leadership and also as in your life.
Yeah, kind of going back to like sailing, taking your little sailboat and going through the abyss. I find myself more and more throughout my career going through um, wartime scenarios, you could call it, where things don't, you plan it one way, and then the plan is just ripped up into 100 different pieces. And I'm learning to enjoy that more. At first, when you go through that, it's can be a little daunting, but I'm learning to navigate and enjoy that. And I think that's growing me as a leader, um, because that's life and that's reality, right? Um, and and at least it is for me. I think maybe a lot of leaders don't get those same exposures, which probably prevents growth. So I consider myself lucky to be able to go through wartime type of scenarios. I think it's unfortunate in that way.
Yeah, I love that attitude. I mean, because if I feel that we're here to grow, we're here to learn, we're here to not have everything go smoothly. How boring would that be? Oh,
Oh,
let's
super
sail to
boring.
Australia. Oh, it was a beautiful trip the entire time, and we didn't have perfect winds and perfect weather. It's like that's not a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it to a great extent is I'm building my story, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm writing a chapter of my story each time, and now and you kind of you have to remind yourself a little because no one likes things not going according to plan, but yeah, you gotta. I think it's a little bit of emotional training to be like, okay, this is a good thing, right? Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Maybe
Yeah,
after the initial, for me anyways, the initial like, oh, damn.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
yes, this is good. Yeah.
yeah. But after a little bit of time, if you can take a step back and float above the situation, then you can be like, oh, yeah, this is good. Glad it happened. Give me another one.
Yeah. Oh, love it. Love it. So, the last question, it's less of a question, more of an invitation. If you have anything you would like to say that's on your mind or your heart that you think would be good for our listeners to hear, anything at all. So take your time.
I feel like a lot of leaders they don't put the emphasis into growing themselves, and because of that, their people don't grow.
Mm.
So I think that's a mistake that a lot of leaders make, and I mean, I think a pretty easy one to fix if you just pay attention to it. Um, people don't. I think most don't do that. I don't know if you've had that experience, and yeah, and then putting putting attention on your people and growing your people, understanding their incentive structures and um, what their limitations are, and really approaching it from an analytic and empathetic way. I think that goes a long way. Um, and giving people opportunities to grow. I do that a lot with my people. And probably because I've had experiences in the past with managers where that doesn't happen, right? Where they don't give you room to grow. They don't give you the opportunity. So I find myself taking the opposite approach, maybe as a vendetta a little bit to see how much can I make them grow? How good can these people become? So I tend to push people under me, or even around me to my limits to see like, hey, you can do this. Um, And that's little bit of maybe of a natural trait as well, because I think I've done that since I was a kid. It's always like pushing people to do the next big thing. So, yeah, I think those are some of the simple takeaways that I think would be good for people to think about. And they're simple, but they get very much ignored.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Self-development and empowering your people, which means you're also asking for trust, and you're able to trust.
Well, and you're giving trust.
And you're giving trust. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and probably a big key to that is being able to take risk. Maybe that's an issue with a lot of people, is they're not willing to take the risk of failure with growing themselves,
Right.
and making themselves better, and they're also not able to take the risk of something bad happening. I see that over. I mean, that's a very common one. I see that over and over with people, with managers, different managers across different industries. They can't let go of the damn reins, and they just let go. They would see so many beneficial impacts, but they don't.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that, Andrew, and thank you for sharing what you've said and your stories. I think this is going to be super valuable for the listeners. And I appreciate you being on the True Leadership Podcast.
All right. Thank you, Justin.
That's it for this episode of the True Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this to catch future episodes. This conversation was brought to you by One Mountain Leadership, where we help leaders grow the capacity, confidence, and presence of true leadership through the True Leadership approach. To learn more about the approach, our offerings, our community, and how we can help you realize your potential in both leadership and in life, visit us at onemountainleadership.com.